Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today we're taking a look at quite a quirky little camera, and it is the new-ish Canon Powershot V10, which we have here. Now, this is quirky because the design of it. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen videos online about the V10. I actually wasn't going to buy the V10. I didn't really need it. I didn't like its design, but I'm growing to really enjoy the camera, and I really do like it. And that's really bizarre because the shape of it is really odd. It's not what I'm used to. I'm a traditionalist. I've been taking photographs and video for many years. I'm used to using a traditional style camera. This is quite blocky and quite different, but I actually really like it, and I'm going to go through why I like this camera. Now, it is primarily a vlogging camera, and I'm not a vlogger, so why would I buy a camera for vloggers when I really don't do vlogging? Well, I bought it because I wanted it in the studio here to be able to stick to one side and get a generic wide shot. So I was hoping I could get a nice generic wide shot, just like I am doing on my Sony ZV-E10. I've got the Sony 11mm lens fitted to it at the moment, and that's over there, getting a nice generic wide shot I use as a cutaway shot when I'm doing my videos. And I thought, a nice little compact camera like this, that would do the job nicely, and it does. I've had to set it to HD because I found it did overheat in 4K. That was a little bit disappointing, but in HD, doesn't overheat at all. And the image quality is really lovely, certainly for cutaway shots that I'll be using. I've also used this outdoors. I've done a bit of vlogging with my brother, and it works out really well. In fact, here's a couple of clips that we done in a cafe in town using the little Canon V10.
Yeah, it looks a bit old-fashioned, as if it's not up to the job.
Yeah.
It does look a bit old to me. You know, if I was using that, I would think, what is this? Does this go back to the 1950s? You know.
Why do you reckon it looks old-fashioned then? Because
just look at it. It does look like just a box. You've got a little box with a little flip-up thing, and you would think that goes back to the 50s. You know, or 60s.
No, it's the latest Canon.
What about the microphone? How does the microphone?
Two microphones on the top, stereo mics on the top.
So does it? Is the microphone any good?
I only arrived yesterday.
So does that mean when it's got that red thing around it, it's recorded?
I've recorded, yeah.
Oh, so does it automatically record?
No, I hit the record button. There's a big record button.
Why does it keep going on and off then?
Just to remind you that it is actually recorded.
Oh, so when this thing goes on and off?
Yeah.
It's a bit old-fashioned looking to me.
Yeah.
It looks like an old box brownie that's been reduced in size.
So as you can see from that clip, my brother wasn't terribly impressed with it, only by its aesthetics. He didn't like the look of the camera. But I actually, as I say, I've grown to enjoy the camera. Now inside this camera, it's got the flip-up screen for your vloggers. There's a 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor inside this camera. So very similar to the sensor that you would find in the Sony ZV-1F, the Sony ZV-1, many other 1-inch style cameras. Now this I would liken closely to the Sony ZV-1F because this field of view is 19mm on this lens, which is the same as the Sony ZV-1F, that's 19mm. And this camera is also very similar to the Sony, and in fact it doesn't employ phase detect autofocus points, which is a little bit of a disappointment. It's contrast detect autofocus on the little Canon V10, just the same as on the Sony ZV-1F. So many similarities, but as I say, it's the design function of this camera is very different to the ZV-1F. Now, everyone's touting it as a video camera. I've actually been taking some photographs of it. I'll show you some samples on here, but also I'll put them up on my Flickr page. I'll leave a link in the description of this video where you can find them. I find it's actually quite a decent little video camera. Now, most of us have got mobile phones. Here is the Apple iPhone 15 Pro. Fantastic image quality from this camera. And again, there's videos on my YouTube channel featuring that particular phone. But I find I just want something I can just shove in my pocket that is either in addition to my phone or is a slightly better design, because that's quite long and thin, and I've always found it awkward. How do you hold the thing to be able to take photographs? I have got various proper grips, but it's yet another accessory that you have to take with you to be able to use the phone efficiently. With this, it's a little bit better, but not the best. I still prefer the styling of something like the Sony ZV-1 or the ZV-1F. I'm using the ZV-1 over here for filming the close-up shots. Great little camera that. I'm also using my little RX100 Mark VII up here for getting another generic shot. I do prefer the styling of those cameras, but to be fair, I'm really getting used to how this camera works. And I'm using the little flip-up stand. It does actually come fitted with this little flip up stand, kickstand it is, to be able to mount the camera down. You can just stick it down on a little table, you know, wherever you are. And that's what I found very useful when I went out with my brother, stuck it on the table while we was having a cup of coffee and could film. I think that is really, really useful, and that's one of my favourite features actually of this little camera. And the fact that it has got a built-in screen, I think that is great. It's all touch screen, so you don't have to use the buttons on the back of the camera. You can use the touch screens to go through the menus, set it all up. I tend to leave it all in automatic. I just find for what I want to use it for, leave it in automatic, turn it on, and then just hit the red button on the front of the camera to either take the photograph or to take the video, and I find that is really, really quite nifty. Now it does have your USB-C port on the side there. That's great for data transfer. That's also great for charging because you can't use separate batteries. Unlike the little Sony ZV-1, ZV-1FE, you know, you just put a couple of these little batteries in your pocket. I think that is the better design. I prefer that sort of design. With this camera, you'd have to take a power bank with you because it is a built-in battery. Lasts for quite a long time. It's about an hour and a half for video, hour to hour and a half. But you would definitely need, if you're going out for the day, you're definitely going to need to take a power bank with you. I would have preferred a design where you can just replace, shove a couple of batteries in your pocket and you can just replace the battery. Now, when I went out, I only used the internal microphones that are built into this device. It's got stereo microphones on the top there, and I mean, you listen to the audio. I think the audio is really, really good using the built-in microphones in this camera. Have a look at this clip. Also, I filmed in the studio here when I was doing some cine transfer. But again, I only used the audio that was built into the camera. So I'm running some cine on my retro scan machine here. I'm just using the built-in microphones in this Canon V10. I've turned one light on, yeah, and just transferring some family memories here. It's going through fine. I have to keep an eye on it because this machine does have a tendency to hiccup a bit, so I do like to keep an eye on it and check the focus, check the framing, and that's going through nice and smoothly. This was actually filmed very well, whoever filmed this, so that's going through fine. This machine scans standard 8 and super 8, and it's a frame by frame scanner, so it is actually scanning each frame at a time, but doing it really, really quickly. So scanning it to a computer as separate images, and then I render all that to create one movie file. So yeah, works well. So there you go, that was, you know, the audio from the camera, and it picked up my voice quite nicely. I always like to get the microphone as close to my voice as possible. I'm using a wireless microphone today. I'm using the Filame X5. I quite often use a DJI mic, so I've got many wireless microphones. But the closer you can get the microphone to your voice, the better the sound quality is going to be. But when you're going out, when you're doing some vlogging, or you're just picking up, you know, your daily life, you don't want to be mucking around with microphones. So, you know, it's great that it has got really good quality built-in stereo microphones in the camera. It has got the 2-inch articulating screen. It just goes upwards, and again, that's designed for vlogging. and it's quite nice to hold. For vlogging actually, this record button on the front here works fine. I don't have an issue with that at all. I found the problem when I was taking photographs with it. I did find that really problematic. I did have the stand folded back and I was trying to take photographs like this. Obviously I'd have a screen towards the back of me, trying to take photographs, and it was really awkward. And I found that my finger kept getting in the corner of the picture. So what I do now, bit of trial and error, but what I do now is unfold the stand. I mean, I pretty much hold the stand like that to take the photographs, and that works out pretty decent. I can work it like that, you know, no problem at all. That works out, I don't know which camera to point this at. Yeah, let's try that one. That works out pretty decent doing it that way round. Still not ideal. I have got a remote trigger that I bought separately, a JJC one with a little tripod, and I was trying to think, is there a way of modifying this to fit on here so I can do it, you know, do it that way. I might do that, because I do find, as I said earlier, the actual photographs that come off here, nobody's talking about the, well, very few people are talking about the image quality as far as stills are concerned. I do find them pretty decent for what they are, and I think they are probably a little bit better than what you would get off a mobile phone because of its 1-inch sensor. But again, my iPhone 15 Pro is so good, but it's just the handling of the iPhone 15 Pro that makes it a little bit more awkward for me. I find now I've got used to using the stand, I find that's pretty good. And if you look at the images, they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent, you know. You could print these, you can certainly use them for social media. Look, sharpness is really good. I'm, you know, quite impressed, to be honest. Look at the colours there, really, really nice. It only shoots JPEGs. You can see there, sharpness, clarity is good. And I think you'll find it is better than what you would get from a mobile phone. Even in cruddy weather, no, it is good. Very good detail. White balance, colour balance is good. So yeah, it makes quite a nice little camera for taking photographs. I actually quite enjoy going out and about taking photographs with this camera. But it does only shoot JPEG. It doesn't shoot RAW, but that's the same as the Sony ZV-1F, where the Sony ZV-1, you can set it for shooting RAW. The other thing I found, there is manual controls for video on here, although I leave it set to auto, but there is no manual controls for photographs. It is full auto. I can't find any setting on here to set it manually for photography. It is only auto, but other than that, really, really nice little stills camera, just as a point and shoot camera. Yeah, as I said, really grotty weather, but still nice stills. You know, again, you look at that brickwork there, quality is lovely. Sharpness is good. And I found the keeper rate was very, very good. Yeah, very good indeed. So yeah, I actually will use this as a photographic camera, a stills camera, as well as when I'm going out with my brother as a little video camera. And it is nice, I can just shove it in my pocket. It's very discreet. Nobody really knows that you're using it, and it doesn't even look like a video camera, particularly if you've got the screen folded down. Nobody really take any notice of what you're doing. And I find with the bigger cameras, people do take notice of what you're doing, and you know, you get strange looks. That's why I don't do vlogging. I'm not really keen on people staring at me as I'm walking down the street, kind of talking to myself. But yeah, really, really nice little video camera. And there are alternatives. There's things such as the Insta360 Go 3. This is quite a nice little camera. Image sensor isn't as big as what it would be on the V10, and this would be purely for video. I wouldn't use this for stills, but you can use this for vlogging. The camera does come out of the casing, which is quite handy, and you know, it's got the tilty-wilty screen similar to the Canon V10. So that could be an alternative option. Price point's very similar. Obviously your mobile phone could be an alternative. So, you know, there are alternatives. I think at its full retail price, I wouldn't buy it at its full retail price. I'm not so sure I could justify 450 quid to buy it. I got this off eBay as a used one, a really good quality used one, and I'm very happy with that. So I got it a lot, substantially cheaper than the full retail price, and to me that made it really good value. But if you're looking at around the £450 mark, I would probably look at the Sony ZV-1F, or maybe a used Sony ZV-1, they're not far off that price. And with those, you can record in 4K without them overheating, and the ergonomics I think is much better. And they're still, taking stills is going to be much easier than it is with the little V10. But pocketability, weight is nothing, but it feels really well made. It doesn't feel, you know, it's not cheap and tacky. It wouldn't be because it's made by Canon, but you know, it is a really nice little camera if you can get one at a decent price. And I do like the fact that it has got a built-in stand. That is really useful. I found that more useful than I thought I would find it, particularly when I'm going out and about. So yeah, fixed 19mm lens, as I said earlier, so that's great as well. Just point and shoot. So there we go. That's an introduction look, a brief look at the Canon V10 vlogging camera. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoy my channel. Please stay tuned for more videos relating to video photography, podcasting. Don't forget to subscribe. That would be really, really helpful. Helps me grow the channel, and I'd really, really appreciate that. And don't forget to leave any comments in the comments section. Actually, that also helps me to grow the channel because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. So thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.